This is a music concept lesson in beginning note reading about bass D and bass C. Let's learn about two new notes, bass D and bass C. These are the D and C that are one octave below middle C on the keyboard. Let's take a closer look at these two new note names that I've written down, and you'll notice that they both begin with the same word. They both begin with bass. Bass D, bass C. Where have we heard that word bass before? I know, it's from the bass clef sign. Bass clef, bass D, bass C, these are all bass things, and bass D and bass C go on the bass clef. When you're looking at music, you might notice that there are sometimes words in the middle. Notes that start with the word bass go underneath the words, and they are for your left hand to play. Okay, let's take a look at our first new note. I'm going to draw a note right here, right on the middle line. Now, let's think about our staff. We know that a staff is a collection of 5 lines and 4 spaces that we number from the middle out. So let's number those 5 lines on the bass staff around this new note. Our new note is on line 3. Now let's count the lines above and below. I see 2 lines above and 2 lines below. That means that this note is right in the middle. Bass D goes right in the middle of the bass clef. I'm going to draw a new D right in the middle without all the numbers and dots around it so you can see how clean it looks there, sitting in the middle. And there's a rhyme that we can learn to remember where D is. Hey diddle diddle, D is in the middle. Can you say it with me? Hey diddle diddle, D is in the middle. That is bass D. We call it bass D because it's on the bass clef. Okay, wave goodbye to D because we're going to learn our other note. Let's take a look at our other new note. This one is not a line note like D was. It's a space note. And there it is. This is bass C. Just like we could count the lines to figure out if D was in the middle, we can do some counting to figure out where this C is supposed to be as well. This time we're going to count the spaces. We have to start in the middle. 1, 2, 3. Did you count the spaces with me? There is a rhyme for this one, just like hey diddle diddle. We say 1, 2, 3. The pearl is in the sea. That is bass C. Just like our first note, it's called bass C because it's on the bass clef. Let's take a look at it again without the numbers around it so you can see how it looks in position on the staff. Say the rhyme with me. 1, 2, 3. The pearl is in the sea. And now wave goodbye. We're going to play a game. In this game, we're going to look at different notes and determine what they are. Is it a bass D? Hey diddle diddle, D is in the middle. Is it a bass C? 1, 2, 3. The pearl is in the sea. Or is it something else? Let's begin. Here's your first note. Now this is a line note, just like bass D. So we can count the lines to see if it's in the middle. Let's count the lines and see where it falls. I see 1 line above this note and 3 lines below it. That is not in the middle. Let's look at other clues. This is actually on the line that comes out of the target for the bass clef, which is the F line. So this is bass F. It's something else. Now let's take a look at our next note. This note is also on a line, so we can count the lines to see if it's in the middle like bass D. I see 2 lines above this note, and I see 2 lines under this note. This note is in the middle. This note is bass D. Now let's do one on your own. This is a space note, so it might be base C. Count the spaces to see if it's 1, 2, 3. The pearl is on the C. Is it? No, this note is something else. Let's take a look at another one. How about this note? Count the spaces. Is this note base C? It is. Let's do another note. This is a line note. Is it base D or something else? This is something else. Let's take a look at another note. Is this one base D or is it something else? This is base D because it's right in the middle. In this video, we have been talking about how to identify two new notes. The first note is base D. Hey diddle diddle, D is in the middle. And the second note is base C. 1, 2, 3, the pearl is in the C. Now you know how to read both of them. Great work.